So kick back and listen, it'll make you grin. Every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Yeah,
yeah. Every Wednesday night, folks. Everyone. So the storm has passed, the lantern is lit, and the ink on tonight's letters is still fresh. Here at the Pilgrimsgrey Inn at Pilgrimsgrey Chronicles, Robert Clark, your host, we gather once more not just to speak, but to listen. From across the hills and beyond the veil, your messages have arrived, and each one a spark of light along the path. Questions, warnings, connections. I read every one of them. Everyone. I can't always respond to every one of them, but I will definitely read as many, if not all, that I can. Because the road that goes ever on and ever on isn't just for wanderers, it's for watchers. For those called to trace the old signs and remember what others have forgotten. So pull up your chair by the hearth and let the raven speak. This is Pilgrimsgrey Chronicles, and these are the letters from the Watchtower. So we have not a whole lot of letters, but I'm getting more stuff sent in. Like people don't even give me context to it. They just send me stuff, which is interesting. But I'm going to start off tonight's with a back and forth exchange between myself and Leroy Brown 4106, who commented on From Nimrod to Neuralink, Freemasonry, Fallen Angels, and the Final Empire, which actually did pretty good for us. I think it's at 22,000 views right now, and that makes me happy because the most recent video I did on Tennessee, nobody's paying attention to. So I just never know. I never know. I can't say nobody. That's not fair to say. Thank you for all of you who are listening right now who have watched the Tennessee one. I really, truly appreciate it. Sometimes, everybody talks about the algorithm, and I have no clue about it. I just know that I study, I read, I write, and then I get on a microphone and I speak. And sometimes when I have the time, I do it on camera. And the reason I don't typically do it on camera, I might do it for Monday night shows occasionally, is because video takes like a million times longer to upload. And I wouldn't be getting to bed till like 11 o'clock at night. And I can't do that and get up at 5 in the morning and go to work. If you know what I mean. I'm getting older, maybe once I retire, I can pump more time into this and, make it a quality show. But as for now, it's just me bouncing ideas off my wife and some friends of mine. I don't have a producer. I am the producer. And I don't have time for making all the nice little Instagram videos that everybody does. Or the patience for it. I try occasionally here or there. I made a video for the Kane to the Committee of 300, which came out kind of nice, but I'm still a work in progress on all of that, honestly. I'm very impressed by those podcasts that are able to put these things together. I'm assuming their audience is large enough that they're doing that primarily as a living, where they have enough viewership and people that are interested in their merchandise or things of that nature, or they have subscribers for, content or, specialized content for members only, that kind of thing. And so they're making enough money to have producers and people to help them with their show. But anyway, either way, I have fun doing the show, and I do wish I had more time to give you guys more stuff and to help wake others up. So let's talk about his comment on this video. What he says is this: Mystery Babylon cannot be the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church is not, number one, a mystery hidden; two, a military superpower, and then he mentions Revelation 13:4. Three, it is not necessarily an economic superpower, Revelation 18. Four, revealed in the last days. Five, not the mother of harlots. It actually insists it is the only true church. However, America matches every description, including the mother of harlots. Just think how many Christian denominations were created in America: Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, SSD, etc. My response was a little bit lengthy, and so let's get into it. And then he responds one more time, and then I respond one more time. So I said, hey, Leroy, you raised some really solid points here. We talk about this often on our show, Pilgrimsgrey Chronicles, and we tend to see Mystery Babylon not as one thing, but a fusion of many things: a system, a spirit, and potentially a place. Like I think it could be a physical place. Anyway, you're right to question the Roman Catholic Church interpretation on its own. It doesn't necessarily fulfill every prophetic detail, and America absolutely matches several key traits: global military power, economic dominance, and the exporter of countless splintered and corrupted Christian offshoots. But we'd suggest that this mystery goes even deeper than national borders or religious institutions. The word mystery implies concealment, something hidden in plain sight. In our time, that likely includes a technological spiritual grid that now covers the earth, the internet as the new language of Babel, AI as a counterfeit Holy Spirit mimicking omniscience and offering guidance, digital ID, surveillance, and behavioral control systems as a prelude to the mark, and media echo chambers and predictive algorithms creating a false consensus of truth. But it doesn't stop with the digital. Mystery Babylon could also involve a literal city, maybe one that rises up from ancient ruins, like a rebuilt Babylon or a rebranded temple city, or even something that descends out of the sky as a deception, like a counterfeit New Jerusalem or so-called alien mothership. Revelation's language is layered. The woman sits upon many waters and on 7 hills. This suggests multiple fulfillments, possibly the America, the Vatican, Jerusalem, and possibly a city not yet revealed. In the end, Mystery Babylon seems to be a convergence point: spiritual rebellion, technological control, false unity, and economic manipulation all rolled into one. It could be headquartered in a real place, but the system will be global, like a spider in the center of a digital web, invisible until it moves. We believe the command to come out of her, my people, is both literal and symbolic. Step out of a corrupted religion, yes, but also out of the system of control, deceit, and simulated truth that are taking hold right now. Thanks for the thoughtful post. It sparked a great dialogue. We'll be unpacking this deeper in our upcoming episodes on Mystery Babylon, the Digital Tower of Babel, and the Shadow Capital, Pilgrimsgrey Chronicles. I really felt that was covering most of the headline news, and that there's, so much more I could write about it, because there's so much to it, right? Sometimes I feel like part of the coming out of her, out of Babylon, like once you wake up to what's really going on in the world in various ways, whether it's, discovering the divine council worldview, or, just understanding things about Scripture you never noticed before, like Genesis 6:4, and the fact that many of the wars fought in the Old Testament were with giant races and races that weren't fully human, like the Amalekites and the Canaanites and all the ites, right? And so, and you begin to understand why God wiped out and reset the earth, before you understand these things, sometimes you're like, well, it seemed awfully mean of God to wipe out just, more than just the sinful humans. The humans were the problem. Well, it wasn't the only problem going on. One of the main sins going on is a complete disregard for God's natural laws also. Sometimes we focus too much just on moral law. Was that being violated? Clearly it was, since only one family on the earth, by the time it was reset, was capable of living a life where they weren't sinning in thought and deed continually, all the time, day and night. Like the rest of the, if you want to call them humans, whatever, but they were clearly not normal anymore because all they thought was evil all the time, and all they did was evil all the time. And so part of that whole reset was also the violation of the laws against God's design in nature, right? They were combining animals with themselves, the little g gods, the rebellious angels. They were teaching humans also how to do these things, how to combine animals, genetically alter plants, animals, themselves, all of this, all to make things in their own image rather than God's. Like I've mentioned before, to build back better, right? To take what God designed and change it into what you want rather than what God intended. And that just never seems to work out very well, does it? I mean, maybe it will give you a brief pleasure to say, oh, look what I did. But then when it rampages around and eats humans and one another and violates all sorts of laws of God and destroys things, then it's not quite as exciting, is it? So his response was this. Leroy says, I think you're absolutely correct about a convergence point, but that is what the beast represents. Remember, Mystery Babylon rides the beast, so it is a critical entity participating in that convergence. But the Bible singles out Babylon from the beast, which means it has special significance within that greater convergence. Also, agree that AI will play a critical role. If we can identify Mystery Babylon, we can identify the eighth head, which is the Antichrist. The beast has 8 heads, seven kings plus Mystery Babylon equals 8. And so I replied with a shorter response, but I said, I really appreciate this comment. I think you're spot on about the convergence. We're watching multiple systems align, and the beast definitely seems to represent that full machinery coming together. The fact that Mystery Babylon rides on the beast is still singled out for judgment shows that she plays a unique role in the setup. Totally agree that if we can identify who or what Babylon is, it helps make sense of the entire structure, including the eighth head. That passage in Revelation 17 about the beast being the eighth and of the 7 is such a layered clue. It hints that the Antichrist, which, by the way, means replacement Christ. I think every time we hear the term Antichrist, we immediately think of something like Adolf Hitler or something horrible. But the reality is, when they're there and doing what they're doing, most of the people think of them as a messianic figure. Like, they think he's awesome. They think he's wonderful. They think he is a replacement Messiah, or it's Jesus has returned. That's what this is. So we got to make sure we have a proper view of the beast or the Antichrist. Anyway, the system is tied to all the kingdoms before it, but becomes something distinct and final. And yeah, AI's role is getting harder to ignore. It's becoming the glue between all the control systems, financial, social, spiritual, even military. Definitely part of the convergence. Thanks again for the thoughtful take. Solid stuff. And as far as AI goes, I highly recommend listening to one of the most recent Blurry Creatures episodes where I can't remember the guy's name, but he discusses AI and what we can look forward to, if you want to put it that way, in the future with all of this technology and where it's headed. And I thought it was a really great episode. I listen to several different podcasts when I can. Sometimes I can't, and I have so many people who have shared things with me that I just haven't had a chance to get to that I really want to get to. And it's just trying to balance, all of this stuff, the research, reading, the fact that I have grandkids and a wife and all of these different things. It can get really complicated, but it's always going to be family first for me. So sometimes I just don't get a chance to listen as much as I would like to. I do try to make time for it when I'm at work because my job does allow me the opportunity to have time to myself where I can just listen for almost 8 hours nonstop, Tuesday through Friday. So if you have something you want me to listen to, chances are I'm going to listen to it sometime between Tuesday and Friday, because most of the rest of the week when I spend either with family or working on music or working on my book or working on this show, studying for it and putting all my notes together. And sometimes I don't always do the greatest job. And I notice sometimes I do repeat certain things, but it's probably because I really wanted to drive the point home. And sometimes it's not as easy as you think to try to tie everything together and connect the dots and do it in such a way that when you read it, it also comes across that way. It's kind of an art, really, and it's not always easy. And sometimes my voice wants to give out, which is really annoying to me. And I apologize if it gets annoying to you, my scratchy throat. Sometimes it's just worse than others. Anyway, that was our exchange, and we have some other things here. Let's see. We have one from a Brian Lindley 846 on our Satan's Little Series on Theory Debunked. And he says, question, if we are in Satan's little season, then where is he? Or did he decide to go incognito also? At first I didn't understand what he was saying, but I was in a hurry when I first read it. And then it dawned on me. Oh, and so I said, a great question, Brian. If this really is Satan's little season, then yeah, you would expect him to show up and take a bow, right? Instead, we get a shadowy systems, half-truths, and puppets pulling strings behind curtains. The way I see it, if Satan were fully unchained already, his fingerprints wouldn't just be influence, they'd be open rule, like before the flood. Revelation paints a picture of a time when he's thrown down with great wrath because he knows his time is short. That doesn't look like what we have now. This still feels more like preparation than full-blown revelation. So maybe he's not incognito, just restrained or restrictor like Scripture says, still whispering, still corrupting, but the restrainer hasn't been removed yet, and that's the big difference. I appreciate you asking the kind of question that keeps us thinking instead of just going along with trends. So thank you, Brian. That was a good comment, and please give us more and share the show and get a shirt, wear it around town. Let everybody know you listen to the show. And when they ask, point them in my direction. You don't have to do that, Brian, but that would be great if you did. And I don't understand what this person meant, but it basically says, I F blank 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 want. I don't even know what that means. So I just said, I'm not sure what you're going for there, but if you've got a real question or thought to share, feel free to drop it. We're always open to honest conversation. Just try to keep it respectful so we can keep the discussion meaningful. I don't understand or know what causes people to make comments that just are so vague. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that. Do you guys have a clue? I mean, please fill me in. I don't want to be clueless here. I would love to know why people say things that have seemingly no meaning. Are these the NPCs we all talk about? I don't know. Anyway, Rebecca Spalding, hey, says, thank you for the updates. And this is on our radar glitch or cloaking tech. It says, thank you for the updates. I always learn about important events and how they fit into end-time prophecy, which is part of my goal. And thank you, Rebecca. Of course, it means a lot. I'm sure you saw my response. And just keep on responding. Don't forget, Rebecca, we have some women's merchandise too. Hats, hooded sweatshirts, all kinds of cool stuff to support the show and to get some cool gear. And it also helps to spread the word about the show. Let people know where to go. And then we have a listener from Indonesia, I believe. This person said, I don't know how to pronounce the name, so I won't even try it. But here is what she said according to the translation here. It says, 3 hours ago, that was the meeting in the 16th century. The 17th century, a brotherhood that did not know its origins. Thank God, this is an ordinary woman, God willing. I will lift her prayers, both mothers, amen. Greetings from a village child. And then I think she gives a person's name and their location, which I don't want to read on air, because in some countries that can get people in trouble. So I don't want to do that. But I want to thank you for those of you in Indonesia who take the time to listen and respond. Here's another comment that they wrote, and this is why I know it's from Indonesia, because it says Indonesia. And it says Indonesian citizens, amen. So I'm going to assume that is supportive. And so to those of you listening in Indonesia, I can translate what you're typing. So feel free to comment. Even if others can't read it, I can, and I can translate it. And I really appreciate you listening out there and taking the time to comment and even caring about such things. It's always fascinating to me to get emails from listeners from other places. And so I also heard from Ivan in a email, and I'm going to share some of it, but the rest I'm going to leave alone because it's very personal information. And Ivan, I plan to respond to your email. I just haven't had time to yet. But I'm definitely going to, and that was a lot of information. So here's what Ivan Mandic had to say. And by the way, he's our listener that lives in Ireland now, but is originally from Croatia and has been living on the Emerald Isle for 10 years. So he says, hi there, Robert. I hope this email finds you well and you're having a blessed day. I am, actually. It was a very long day at work, but I can always use the money. It was just, it was a bit stressful, but it is what it is. I always try to be thankful for the job, even if the day circumstantially isn't the greatest. You all understand. So he says, Ivan here, your faithful listener from Ireland. I've been living on the Emerald Isle for 10 years, ever since leaving from Croatia. And I am very grateful for that. I think it is, again, I know I say it, and I've said it before, but I think it is so cool to have people from Ireland listening, no matter where you were originally from. And if you were still living in Croatia, I think it would be still cool. So it's just fascinating to me that this internet, which can be used for evil, yes, but it can also be used to reach out with truth and Christian fellowship and things of that nature, right? Which is great. And even if I never meet you on earth, Ivan, one day I feel certain we will meet in heaven. And then maybe back down on earth, on a new heaven and a new earth. So he says, I'm 38 years old and I've been deeply interested in all things conspiracy since the gentle age of 10, when I got my first hardcover book with the world's top 100 conspiracy theories. Now that's really cool. I need to get a hold of that so I'll have more show material. I've looked into everything from Atlantis and Mu. That's really cool. Not a lot of people remember Mu. They remember Atlantis and Lemuria, but a lot of people don't remember Mu. And that's just capital N and U for those of you unaware of it. Megaliths, ancient civilizations, aliens, Roswell, flat Earth. The list is endless. It really is, isn't it? But most recently, I've found the Little Season theory, and as someone who used to go from being an altar boy to a new ager and back to finding my faith again later in the mid-30s, well, God bless you for that, Ivan. And then the Little Season felt right and felt true, and videos like the ones I'm about to recommend only cemented my beliefs further. If you remember, I commented on a few videos and mentioned Jason Jack's channel for review. I do remember that, Ivan, and you are right in the top of my list for the next things to watch. I may even watch this particular video tomorrow while I'm at work. In retrospect, I would like to bring attention to a video that really got me into Little Season topic. It's full of hard facts and scientific/religious links, and a must-watch. They are discussing 700 to 1,000 years added to our history in the first millennium AD, which would have massive biblical implications. Little Season. And then he gives me the link and says, this is only part 1, but you can find part 2 and 3 if you find it interesting in the first video description. JT, I believe, is a sound enough guy. I believe you both share Tolkien's obsession. I must admit, I love him too, but the other guy in the video, Paul, well, I'll leave that between Ivan and I. See, donations to... anyway, I digress, and I apologize for that, but I see... okay, that's where I want to end it, because then it gets really personal, and I'm going to respond to him in private about that. So, I will watch this, Ivan, this YouTube that you've given me, and maybe like you mentioned in previous posts, I will break it down like I did with JT's and go over some of it, and I don't know, I mean, maybe he'll persuade me, but it's not likely, because I've heard most of their arguments and I'm not persuaded. And my biggest concern about the Little Season theory is it makes me concerned that it is a tool being used as a deceptive thing by our enemy, so that, and here's why I think this, because if you already believe that everything as a partial preterist, I know that in the case of the Little Season people, they think that everything's happened up to about Revelation 19, and they're still awaiting Revelation 20 and the defeat of Satan in a possible God-Magog battle, where he's finally destroyed and thrown in a lake of fire, and a new heaven and a new earth are created, and so on. Now, if you believe all the other stuff, which Little Season people do, because they believe the millennial reign is come and gone, and we are now living in a Little Season. So everything before the millennial reign has already occurred, which includes every living thing in the sea dying, the mountain splitting from east to west and creating a valley for the Jews to escape into, and the mark of the beast has already occurred. There's my big warning signal, right? If you believe in the Little Season theory, then you have to believe that the mark that allows you to buy, sell, and trade has already come and gone. So there's no fear of it any longer. There's no fear of taking the mark or receiving the mark or anything like this, because it's already taken place, so there should be nothing to worry about. And my concern is, if you're wrong, and something comes, some Messiah-like figure that people are falling for, because he's Messiah-like, comes along and starts giving people a mark, many of the people who subscribe to the Little Season theory may be fooled into taking it. Because what do they have to worry about It's already happened, so they have nothing to be concerned about, right? This could be a great miraculous thing, this mark that could have other benefits other than just buying, selling, and trading, right? If it has something to do with Neuralink, it could do things like make the people who are crippled walk again, give people sight again. All these signs and wonders of this Messiah that will seem so awesome that the world will follow after him because of all the things he's bringing to us, right? That's my main concern. So just be very leery about this. I wouldn't be willing to take any mark right now until I literally see Jesus descend out of the heavens myself, like Acts says that he would, and I see that mountain split in half when he returns. And I personally believe we won't be here for that. I am a pre-tribulation rapture person, and I have good solid arguments for it, and I think many of the things that are thrown out there that are against that are, most of them are not good arguments. But I'm always willing to hear new, better, improved, and I'm definitely going to watch this video because you have me very intrigued, and I'm always willing to hear the other side. I mean, you can ask my kids. I always ask them to explain themselves about certain things, and I'm always willing to listen. But that doesn't necessarily mean there won't be consequences, but I'm always willing to hear. And sometimes I even remove the consequences if they were honest, unless it was something really bad. And then, sorry, I'm glad you were honest, but you still screwed up hugely, so there still has to be some consequences. Anyway, I will respond to your email, Ivan, when I get opportunity. Now, there were some other things sent in by people on the email thing. Mostly, seems like a lot of people these days, at least people listening to Pilgrimsgrey Chronicles, seem to listen to X a lot, or I do too. I have an X account. If you haven't had an opportunity, you can follow us on Twitter or X as well. You can just do a search for Pilgrimsgrey Chronicles, but my handle is at RLClark16 because that is my name. Anyway, many of these I can't necessarily share, but a lot of people send it in, and so if I find it's good enough, a lot of times I'll just put it right on my wall, But I'll give you one of the things I really thought was cool that somebody sent me, and I put it on my wall, was this picture of a Spartan soldier, a spear in his hands, and he's obviously just slain somebody, and he's standing over him, and he says, "If you are tired, then do it tired." And I thought, that is so true. Just sometimes, yeah, you're tired, but you just still have to do what you got to do, right? And get over the tiredness. And I also posted a really great article by, I can't say he's a good friend of mine, but I've followed his work and we communicate from time to time, even from his earliest days before he even started going and finishing school and writing his thesis. And I got his book on Mere Molinism. And it's really great. And anyway, so he wrote this really great article dealing with open theism. And if you're into that subject, free will versus the inner workings and discussion of God's sovereignty and free will, I think they work together. I don't think it's an either or thing. And neither does Tim. We're both Molinists, or, God's middle knowledge. And so if you want to read that, it's out. I can't read the whole thing to you. It's a long blog, but what I wrote on there was that what he wrote is definitely fatal to open theism, which I don't believe in. So if you want to read it, it's really great. Maybe I'll get permission from Tim to read it on my podcast. If he doesn't mind, I'll contact him and see what he says. And maybe I'll do it for a Monday night show. But if it's something you're into and you don't mind discussing theology on the show, I'll be happy to. I mean, we have before, right? Satan's Little Season is a theological discussion. So clearly we don't mind. And for those of you who aren't aware, I made I put together a little animated video for our opening song, Lantern of Grey, Pilgrim's Grey Chronicles. If you want to watch the whole video, I also have another video of it that I'm planning when I get time to do videos as an opening video for the show. I think I've done it once before, maybe once or twice, where the animated video was, it basically shows a guy coming in down a cobblestone road to the Pilgrim's Grey Inn while there's a lightning storm, which is why I use lightning at the beginning of the show. And so he runs into the inn and, there's the singers and so on, and everybody's merry. And, we all sit down at the table and start doing our jibber jabbering about world events, right? And what's going on out there. And then we go out to the road that goes ever on, because I'm a Tolkien fan, into this world as pilgrims, Grey, which I've explained before, and go to the Watchtowers and warn others, right? It's a great thing. So, let's see what else we have here. I posted something by Tim Alberino, where he's discussing events that precipitated the flood. And I have read his book. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it, even though I don't necessarily agree with Tim about his theories about biological aliens, like from other planets necessarily, because Tim and I would clearly disagree on cosmology. And so although I don't think he's necessarily wrong about certain things, I just don't agree with the geophysical cosmology aspect of what he's saying. Like, it's hard to explain without going into a full hour show, but he's of the opinion that there is a gap theory, and that in that gap there was most likely warfare that went on in the heavens, and that Rahab was probably a planet, got destroyed, that there was once life on Mars, possibly. And I don't necessarily disagree with all those things. I just don't think Mars is the kind of thing that you think it is. I don't think it's a gigantic planet millions of miles away. I think it's in the firmament, in the ether, that winds up going around Polaris, the North Star. But how do the stars and the planets circle Polaris and also orbit the sun at the same time? How does that work? I'd like to hear that one, because you can clearly film over, if you use like a slow motion, captured camera, still frames or whatever, over the course of a year, you'll see the planets moving around Polaris. The stars move around Polaris, and they do it the same way every year. They all, and that's why, if you remember the Georgia Guidestones, it had that hole in it. Remember, before they blew it up, and if you looked through that hole, it didn't matter what time of day you were looking right at Polaris, because it doesn't move, and all the other stars and planets circle around it, right? And it's in the center of the sky in the north. And so, how do you rotate and orbit Polaris and the sun at the same time? I don't see how that's possible. But I don't know. It's not necessarily my forte. I'm not an astrophysicist. I'm still looking into all these things, and I've seen enough out there to make me doubt what they tell us about virtually everything, whether it's heliocentrism, or what happened to the towers at 9/11, or what happened at the Gulf of Tonkin, or, I could just go on and on. We were all right about the Kennedy assassination, right? Those of us who suspected it was BS and it was most likely our own government that did it, we were right. And nobody even blinks at it, really. It's like, oh, we were right. It was our own CIA. Well, gosh darn it, those CIA crazy guys. And then we just go on, like nothing happened. So what's on Netflix tonight? Do we still have peanut butter for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And, we don't do anything about it. So, I guess kind of what does it say about us really as a nation? Not necessarily you all, but you know what I mean, right? And so, anyway, I probably need to wrap this up and get to bed because I am really tired after this long day of work. And I think I have covered most everything. I do have some other things, but it would be too long, and I'll probably save it for another show, maybe next Wednesday. So we'll cut this one. I can't say that it's short. I did intend for these only to run for 20, 30 minutes, and we're going on 40. So love y'all, and Godspeed to y'all, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Just take the 2 seconds to do it. Check out our store. Check out our band's music. We have more coming up. I'm probably going to be releasing a single off the upcoming album soon. And when I do, I will definitely try to make a video and put it on our channel. And hopefully you'll love it. And when the album comes out this fall, you'll pick it on up. In the meantime, let's play you out with the Wednesday Night Boys, and Godspeed to y'all.
It's time for listener emails, comments, and stuff they send in. So kick back and listen, it'll make you grin. Every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, yeah. Central Standard Time, yeah. Central Standard Time, yeah. It's time for listener emails, comments, and stuff they send in.